One, two. Is this on? Welcome to another answer to the age old question of do you know what really burns my ass? The way Origins has fallen from the number two gaming convention to one not even mentioned in gaming circles. My first gaming convention was in 1990 in Atlanta. It was a combination of Origins, Dragon Con, and NASFIC, the North American Science Fiction Convention. It was a Friday through Sunday event that involved several hotels, two different exhibit halls, and I even know that a LARP got kicked out. I know that for a while Dragon Con denied it happened. And one of the hotels had floors that didn't go all the way around. They were like floating seas with gaps in between, and then it alternated. And a LARPer, I feel I should say allegedly, since I know Dragon Con at least used to deny it, but I did witness someone leap from one floor down to the floor below during a LARP, and I did hear from other attendees in a public area the next day talk about how the entire group lost access to the convention because of it. In short, the con was wild, especially since it was my first one. Through the 90s, I went to conventions sporadically. Dragon Con a couple of times, Gen Con more than a couple, small cons like Rising Star Con in Virginia. I even went to a Capital City Comics sales convention, not convention, Capital City Sales Comics sales conference one year when I was a manager of a comic book store. But Origins remains my favorite and the con that I'm still returning to every year. This year is my 27th Origins, so that's 1990, 99, 2000, and all of them since 2002. And out of all of them, only the first one did I attend purely as a player. From 99 until 2004, I ran games for the RPGA. In 2005 and 2006, I volunteered directly for Gamma, working in their finance room, counting and redistributing tickets, and preparing cash for deposits. And then since 2007, I've been running events for Fellowship of the White Star. The most interesting thing that I have done for Origins happened when I wasn't there and wasn't even my idea. Uh, my good friend Bruce was the person actually responsible. At the 2000 Gen Con, Wizards of the Coast released Dungeons and Dragons 3rd Edition and the shared campaign Living Greyhawk. That campaign had real world geographic regions. The game nation of Burbank, for example, was in the states of Illinois and Indiana. Ohio represented the country of Valuna. The RPGA, who ran the shared campaign, declared three of the role playing conventions as national cons, where regional events like the ones for Valuna or Verbank could not be played. Those conventions were Gen Con, Origins, and Winter Fantasy. Here, the eight planned core events would premiere. Because this was a new concept for the players to understand, many players were upset. Traveling to Indianapolis for Gen Con or to Fort Wayne for Winter Fantasy or coming here to Ohio for Columbus, Ohio for Origins carried with it the expectation of getting to play Verberbach or Valuna events that players would otherwise be unable to play. You see, the regional concept was that not only did the region develop the events, but you could only play those events in the geographic region. So, for example, Valuna events had to be played physically somewhere in Ohio. So at first, players tried to organize events at hotels during Winter Fantasy 2001 to play Verberbank events, but the RPGA didn't allow it. So for Origins, the players tried a different workaround. Bruce organized an RPGA game day, which they categorized as a day of events that wasn't a con, and he intentionally didn't overlap with Origins. I don't know how much was his idea or if any of it came from players from out of state reaching out to local known RPGA gamers. We used to travel a lot, so a lot of people in the surrounding states knew Bruce, myself, Peter, others of us. So I do know that other game days had in the past been organized just before a con in order to help people catch up on storylines in the events being premiered. So this wasn't out of the ordinary. In 2001, I missed Origins because I was unable to get time off at work to attend. I don't believe I even went on Saturday, but I could be wrong. Forgive me, that it was a long time ago. But Bruce ordered some mods from the RPGA, printed off copies, and then took those copies to the convention center on Wednesday before the con began. People came and found him in the food court or other places. He handed them mods, they handed him cash to cover the cost of printing, and people played a lot of games. I think at one point he told me he didn't even realize he was actually making money until he emptied his pockets when he got home. But I got yelled at by the RPGA, even though I hadn't been involved. I didn't give him the mods. I didn't run any mods. Wasn't even there. Uh, but in 2002, he did it again, but a little bit more organized. And I know Gen Con also had regional events the day before the convention began in Indiana when it moved there in 2003. I think it was 2005 when Gamma, who runs Origins, looked at the games Bruce was running and asked themselves, why aren't we getting ticket sales for these events? Uh, Might have been 2004. In any event, this is why Origins Gaming starts on Wednesday, but most of the seminars, exhibit hall, other non-gaming aspects of the con don't open, have never opened before Thursday. So I'm actually at Origins currently. This was, as are all of my videos so far, pre-recorded. This evening I'm running a table of light dreams for Fellowship of the White Star, and tomorrow I'll be running a D&D 3.5 event that I wrote, and the Fellowship Interactive LARP, where hopefully nobody will leap off of the balcony. I wish Origins was still talked about in the same vein as Gen Con. I'd love for some of the popular game masters like Brennan Lee Mulligan or Brian Murphy or Deborah Ann Wall to come and run games and put on seminars. And it makes me sad that as the hobby has gotten bigger, this particular convention seems to have gotten smaller in scope, if not in attendance. It's particularly frustrating that Gen Con advertises the best 4 days in gaming when Origins provides 5 days and it feels like no one knows it. What are your feelings regarding gaming conventions? Share your thoughts down in the comments. And if you are at Origins and see this before the convention is over, stop by the Hyatt rooms and say hello. I'll be there until Sunday afternoon, evening.